So, how did Osho come into your life, and what happened next?
So I was thinking about it, and the first time I met sannyasins and the flair of Osho was when I was 20. I was in Berlin, and a friend of mine, he brought me into a cafe, and everybody was very happy and joyous. And, at the time, Berlin was really like a city of celebration. And I looked and I saw this woman in orange dancing. And I said, I never saw that before. It's like a fire. This woman, she's so alive. I never experienced anybody being so alive and so vibrant. And it was like as if sparks would fly from her. And I said to my friend, what is this? Who is this? I want to go talk to her. And he said, no, no, you don't want that. These are sannyasins. They're all sitting over there. No, 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 you don't want to go there. This is the guru. And I said, okay, fine. I don't want to be involved with the guru. And I forgot about it.
Hmm.
Then I started to study, and I studied psychology in Switzerland and in a very Catholic city,
Mhm.
Fribourg. And somewhere I was thinking, if I study psychology, I will start to understand a little bit about the human being and about what drives a human being. At the time, I was doing yoga, and I got a little bit into the spiritual world, very doubtful, but I was looking for something more. And I split up with my boyfriend, and I had to find a new apartment. And I met a guy, and he had a beautiful old style apartment. I said to him, okay, why do you give up such a beautiful apartment? He said, I'm going to India. I said, oh, India, I'm doing yoga. What is in India? Where do you go? Well, I'm going to this ashram, and there is a master there, and he is combining Eastern and Western methods and also integrating therapy, growth therapy. And that's when I got interested. I was like, oh, that's very interesting. Tell me more. So we talked and talked and talked, and he did a Kundalini meditation with me, and was kind of interesting, a new way of meditation. And at the end, I said to him, when what you tell me, if that is true, I should go. I should go with you. And he said, why don't you come? I invite you. And but I'm going in 2 weeks. And I was like, wow. And then I said, give me a night time. So I went and I turned it in my head and turned it in my head. And I thought, if it is true that this master is in Pune, in India, I didn't even know it was Pune, it was India, Maharashtra. And if he is really the one that he says, and I don't go, and I'm too late. And then 30 years, 40 years later, he's not there anymore. And I say, wow, I missed an opportunity. I have to go. So I arranged everything. In the middle of my studies, I just went. I was 22, very, very young, very adventurous. I convinced in the embassy, the ambassador, that he had to give me this visa because I have to go today. And it all worked out. And I went to Pune, and I come there, and everybody is in orange. And everybody has this mala around the neck. And they were, according to me, long hair hippies singing hallelujah, because there was a music group in the evening. Hallelujah, da, 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 dancing in the fire. And I thought, oh my God, no, 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 that's not where I want to be. I looked a little bit around. I thought, well, interesting people, nice people. Some I could not really be with. I felt them a bit too holy. After 2 days, I was packing my suitcase because I was convinced that my master is in the Himalaya. So I packed my suitcase, and there walks in an Italian sannyasin. His name is Chid Villas. He came in and he said, "Oh, you're packing. You found a new place." I said, "No, no, no. I am leaving. This is not for me. I'm going to the Himalayas." He said, "Oh, but did you meet Osho or Bhagwan at the time?" I said, "No, no, no, no. But this is not for me. I'm too critical. It's not my style. Too much. Hallelujah." So he said, "But today is Osho's birthday, Bhagwan's birthday, and the doors are open. Why don't you come with me and my girlfriend, and we're gonna join the celebration, and you can see Osho, Bhagwan, and maybe it gives you something. You know, you cannot just go to an ashram and not see the master." And that convinced me. So I was like, okay, I understand. I have to at least have a look at the master. So I went there, and we had to wash our hair and, really prepare ourselves. And it was very beautiful ritual to get ready to, for something very special. And I walked there with my friends together, and it was like coming into Lao Tzu house, and you had to walk around the house, and it was like a beautiful jungle. It was everything very alive, and nature was throbbing. And we came around the corner, and it went into Lao Tzu the hall there, and it was like all full of sannyasins, all orange people dancing, joyously singing, dancing, making sounds. And all around was this beautiful jungle of green. And it was like, wow, this is amazing. I saw this before. And then I got it. That was like the thing that I saw in Berlin. It was like this aliveness. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is amazing. And I look, and in the middle of all this sea of orange people was a little white spot, very quiet, totally calm. And that was Osho. That was Bhagwan. And I walked there, and I felt the vibration in my body, and everything started to become alive in me and excited. And I come to Osho, and I greet him, and I bent down, and my whole body just started to vibrate, and he was so alive. And I was like, wow, that this is possible, such a feeling. And I walk out, and I started to dance, and I was just so happy that this is possible, such an aliveness, such a celebration. And the next day I went to the office, in the front office, to Garimo, and I said to her, I want to do it. And she looked at me and she said, "You want to do what?" I said, this thing, I want to do it. She said, "Oh, I guess you want to take sannyas." I said, "Yeah, I don't know what it's called and what it means, but I want to have it." So a day later, I had my initiation, and we were all sitting there and ready and waiting. And he calls me in the front, and he tells me, "Sit down." And I'm just so amazed by the warmth and the presence and the radiance of this man. And he tells me, "Close your eyes." So I close my eyes, and I fall inside. And I fall and fall, and I get really, really scared. And then suddenly it turns around, and there is these waves of ecstasy going through me. And I was like, what's happening? What's happening? And then I go out of my body, and suddenly I'm like everywhere. I'm in the trees, in the birds. It's like I'm everywhere. And then my mind starts to go. And it goes like, oh my God, this is what always was there. This is it. This is it. I want to keep it. And then, and I went back in. And it was like, oh my God. And then Osho chuckles and he says, open your eyes. And he starts to talk to me about my name. My name is Chandrika, and it means blissful moonlight. And he starts to talk to me and he explains me about the West symbolizes in the sun and in the outgoing active energy, and the West symbolizes the moon, the passive energy, the receptivity, the femininity. And he starts to talk about that it's very important that the West and the East, that they start to get integrated. And when they get integrated, a whole new being starts to develop. It's like a synthesis of both of it. It's something totally new. It's the new human being. And he talks and talks, and everything he says, it just drops inside of me. And I'm like, I I always wanted to hear this. I always wanted to know things of such a wisdom. And everything started to make sense for me. My life, my studies, my search, my passions, my quietness, everything just started to fall in place. And I felt this immense blissfulness inside of me. It was more than happiness. It was just like an overjoy of being. And he talks to me about the moon and that the moonlight, it is calm, but it's very healing and it's very, very mystical and magical and beautiful. And he explains me that that is my name. And I was like, wow, I feel like I got such an amazing present, like such a beautiful name. I was like, wow. And I felt so thrilled. That was when I took sannyas. And at the time, I thought, well, I will do it for a year and I will see what it gives me. Of course, I went into doing groups and I went into doing meditations. I really loved the meditations. It was for me a wonderful way of going into activity, into dancing, celebration, catharsis, being wild and outward going and strong, and then to turn in and to be totally quiet and just present. It was for me like a whole new world started to open up. And suddenly I saw all the sannyasins and I loved their celebrative attitude. I loved their joy of vivre, this relating with each other and the lightness and the humor. And I just felt like, wow, this is my people. It's not my family, but it's like a family of friends that I feel just totally accepted. I feel totally at home with it. I felt like when I was in Switzerland, always that I felt like I'm a bit too much, I'm a bit too wild, I'm a bit too much, just too much. And when I was there with all the sannyasin world, it was like, it's okay. I felt accepted. I felt like, wow, I can just be myself. Wild, quiet, shy, outward going. I could be everything. And I felt like this beautiful atmosphere that was in Pune, that no matter where you were at, you could just express it. And yes, you would get feedback and you would meet people and they would confront you and they would meet you. But it was like everything was possible. And that was such a liberating energy. It was such a liberating atmosphere. So I stayed for, I think, about 2 months, did lots of groups because Osho had his little note and he said, you can do this and you can do that. And of course, I did everything he said because it was exciting. And so I went into this whole world of discovering myself emotionally, sexually, power wise, going inside, being quiet. It was like a whole new way of living and finding out. And it was such an amazing journey for me. It was like, wow, this is what I was looking for. So I did all that. At the end, my friends, they said, come with us, we go to Goa. I was like, what's Goa? Yeah, Goa is where all the hippies hang out. It's beautiful, it's nice, it's on the beach. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna come. And funny enough, I wanted to have a leaving darshan, like a leaving meeting with Osho, where he would talk to you and then before you would leave. And I tried to have a leaving darshan. And they had, at the time, they had like two women who were smelling your hair. And I came there. I didn't use perfumes, but they said, no, you cannot go through. Your hair is smelling of perfume. So I went back, washed again a whole day long with lemon juice and everything. I went again. Sorry, Ma, your hair is smelling. So again, I couldn't go in. And then by that time, all my friends, they were in the bus and they left to Goa and I was staying behind. And the third day I went, when they were already gone to Goa, I had my leaving darshan. I could go in. My hair was not smelling anymore. Sometimes funny things happens. I don't think they knew that I wanted to go to Goa, but somehow it happened in that way. And so I had my leaving darshan. And Osho, he looks at me and he says, um, come. And I was very shy. And he said, come close. So he took me close and he put his thumb on my forehead and he just touched it very lightly. And he was just like, whoa, all opened up again. And I was just so flabbergasted. And then he started to talk to me. And he said, so where are you going? And I told him that I go to Switzerland, that I'm studying. And then he said, when are you coming back? I said, whoa, I have no idea. I have no idea because I have to do my studies. And then he got like these huge eyes. It felt like as if his eyes are popping out of his head. And then he started to shake his head and he started to laugh. And he said, you come back when you want to come back. And then he asked me, he said, um, which meditations do you like? So I said, I like dynamic meditation. I like Kundalini meditation. He said, very good, very good. You do every day dynamic meditation and every day Kundalini meditation. And where you live, is that close to where Viresh live? I said, I don't know who's Viresh. And then he asked somebody next. And he said, is that where Viresh lives? They said, no, it's not directly, but it's in Europe. So that's when I heard the first time the name Viresh. So then I had my leaving darshan. I went back to the West and I come back in a very conservative university. But for me, it was clear, okay, I made a commitment. I'm wearing orange, I'm wearing a mala, and I go to university. And I just remember one time I went into a anthroposophical lecture. It was a big lecture hall, and there was a pater, big pater. He was sitting in the front, and I'm late. So I open the door, and everybody's already sitting, and he's already talking. And I open the door, and I walk in, and I think I just sneak in. Nobody will see me. The whole room got quiet. He stopped talking. And I felt like my heart started to beat like crazy. And then I realized I'm here all in orange. I even had orange long hair because it was henna time, mala. And I walk and I think like, I cannot turn around. I have to go. I have to just be whoever I am. And I walk all the way up and I sit down and I think like, oh my God, I could disappear. but it was okay. I did my walk. Everybody saw me. Everybody knew me. And very funny, after that, some people, they connected up with me. They said, listen, tell me, what is this all about? Other people, they were cutting me and they were like, "Wow, I will not have anything to do with such a crazy mad woman." But the ones who had contact with me, they all came and they said, look, I knew you before you went and I know you now, and something changed in your face. There is like a radiance there. There's like something changed in you. Can we come and meditate with you? I said, yeah, I meditate. Yeah, sure. So I started my first meditation center just because my friends were asking if they could come and join me. And I was really fun. We did it together, and some meditation they really didn't like. I remember that I was doing a Devavani meditation, and my girlfriend I was living with, she was like, oh, this is such a stupid thing. I mean, how can you do such a stupid, silly thing? It's so childish. I said, okay, you don't have to do it, it's fine. And suddenly I had like a group around me of about 10, 15 people who came to meditate every evening. We were meditating in the student center, Kundalini. And then we went and we had like some pasta or pizza and hanging out, and it was very beautiful. And at the same time, I started to meet a new boyfriend, and he came to one of the meditation retreats that we organized, and he got turned on. So he went with his brother, who was a friend of mine, to Pune. And when they came back, he went to Zurich and we got together. And it was a beautiful love affair. And till now, it's like a very, very special, special friendship that we have together. And I think it was from then on that we went like every year, always in monsoon time, we would go to Pune and we would be there doing groups, doing meditations, meeting Osho, sitting in the lectures. And it was just a very magical time. It was very beautiful. And I felt like my life just took a total different direction. Before I left Pune the first time, I asked Osho, I said, look, I started to study psychology, but now I'm actually seeing that what I was looking for is to do like an inner journey, like what you are doing here. And somewhere I would like to come and live in Pune, but also I feel that I have to finish my psychology studies because I made a commitment. I also towards my parents to pay it, and I don't know what to do. I had to wait a few days, and then I got the answer back. It's good that you found the place. It's good that you know what you want to go further into, but go back and make your studies as fast as possible, as good as possible. And then once you have your degree, you come back and then you study with me and you are with me in the resort. And that was great because it gave me the courage to just totally go for my studies. Because when I went back, I just put myself in a total schedule. I was studying like from morning till night all the time, as fast as possible. And I really enjoyed it. But I didn't have any more that feeling that I needed to get answers that are uh, more like in the field of meditation or in the field of going inside. I didn't have to look for it anymore at the university. So the conflict of not being satisfied with answers or not being fulfilled was suddenly not there anymore. And I just could do my studies. I did it very fast and I finished and it was very good. And then I started to work as a psychologist, and I was happy to do that. And when I look at it now, I was really young and I was just so courageous. I was there in orange with my mala, and I was like, okay, this is me, and I work like that. And in the office where I was working, they would always give me the difficult cases. They would say, "This is for you, Chandrika. You take care of them." And I was curious to see how people take what makes them move. How can I reach them? And in that way, it was like everything that I learned about myself in meditations or what I learned with listening to Osho and getting all this wisdom from him, I could then transform it into my work. And I was so beautiful. It became all practical. It was like the meditation was put in practice. I loved it. But as we went, my boyfriend and me, we went every year to Pune. I think the second year, he Osho asked that we would open a center in Zurich. And we were like, yeah, what does that mean? How to go about it? What does a center mean? And we got a very beautiful answer. The answer was, make a center and offer the activities that you like to do, meditations you like to participate in, workshops that you like to do. Make sure that whatever you like and whatever turns you on, make it open for more people, your friends, new people, and make it in a way that everybody feels welcome and that everything is beautiful and aesthetic. And as a standard, make it so beautiful that Bhagwan himself could come and visit. And that was somehow such a simple way of understanding it. And that was the drive. And from there we started. Small group of people, maybe 12, 14 people. In the beginning, we did meditations in the university, in the gymnastic room, 6 o'clock in the morning, when only the the the, the cleaning women were there. And they were like, oh, here they come again, the orange people. But they're okay, they're okay. They're screaming, but they're okay. And we did it for a whole year. And it became more and more people who came to join, and it was great. And then after 1 year, we got told that they had reclamations, that people didn't like the noise that we made, and that we have to find a place for ourselves. And so that's how we started to find our first center. It was called Gyandip. It means the lamp of wisdom. And we found it in a beautiful area in Zurich, close to the lake. And because we had engineers with us, they knew how to build a soundproof room. So we had like the basement of a normal living house, and we built a room in a room so that we could do dynamic in the morning, we could do screaming and groups and like individual sessions, like breathing sessions and all this kind of stuff, energetic sessions. We could do them all there. And on the side, we had like a little hanging out room where we could eat together or, hang out, talk, share. And we had like a shower, we had a little stove where we could, make some tea. But it was very simple, but it was very heartful. Everything, we made it in a beautiful way, so that everybody was welcome. And in that time, we had like an ongoing group of people coming. They were like, it was always about 20 to 40 people who were there, coming and going. They would come, then they would get turned on. Then they would say, okay, we go to Pune. Then they would go to India. Then somebody else would come. Then they would come back again. And it was like a constant flow of friends. And it was it was such a heartful and energetic group that we were. We were all friends with each other, and it was really nice. And we we just lived in our bubble somehow. We lived in our meditations, in our ways, and it was great. It was really great. I was just 2 weeks ago, I was in Zurich again. And this time I went in an apartment close by where we had our first center. And it was so amazing how all this memories suddenly started to bubble up again. And I went in the same restaurants where we used to go and eat pizza after the meditations. It was still there. And it was like the feeling I still could recollect. It was like a very uh, unrestrained, open, experimental, loving energy. It was beautiful. And it was nice. We always had new people coming. They would come and visit, old sannyasins, older sannyasins, totally new people. It was a constant flow. We had people from every walk of life. We had people they were very famous therapists. We had people who were psychiatrists. We had people who were business people. We had people who were prostitutes. We had people who were housewives. We had students. We had young ones, old ones, any possibility. They were all welcome. And everybody found something. Everybody found a pulsing heart. Everybody found a, a quietness inside. It was really special. And, it didn't disturb us that we were orange and people were looking at us. It was just kind of like, okay, that's just the way it is. We chose that path, so that's what it is. We learn from it, and we are who we are. It was nice when I still was working in the beginning and I had to go with the train a lot. I really got into the book of secrets from Osho, and I got so fascinated. When I was going in the train, I would read one chapter, one lecture about one sutra, one technique, and then I would close my eyes and I would just practicing the meditations. And when I would arrive an hour or 2 hours later, and I would be ready to go to work, I would just be like in a total different space. It was very special that I could do that, and I treasure it till now. It's like every now and then, suddenly a technique clicks into my mind, and it's like, oh yeah, right, the clouds. See the clouds, see the sky, and I would just go into it again, and it would get activated again. There was a very beautiful journey of discovery. It was also an amazing journey of learning to organize a center, learning to organize groups. And it was also in that time that I got connected to Viresh. I met Viresh the first time still in Pune, because there was a bit a weird connection, because my love affair friend in Pune, he was doing the Om Marathon with Viresh. And he would tell me that it was really exciting and it was amazing what they're doing there. And it's so deep and it's so crazy and blah, 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 blah. I mean, I was like, okay, I can't really understand what it's all about. But at the end of their Om Marathon group, they had a party in the Blue Diamond Bar. So my boyfriend wanted to take me with. So we went there and we went to the bar. It was like somewhere underneath, and it was like a little disco. And we come in, and there is nobody there, just the group stuff around the bar. And they're all laughing, and it's all men. And my boyfriend looks at me and he goes like, "Oh, no, no, no. They're only men there. No, no, no. The way Viresh looks at you. No, no, no." And we go immediately again. I say, "Why?" He said, "The way Viresh looks at you." And he pulled me away, and that was my first meeting with Viresh. Okay, the way Viresh looked at me. I could never really understand what it was about, but then I understood later. He got very jealous because I got too much attention from Viresh. And so when I was back in Switzerland, and I was already in Zurich, and we had the center, my mother was not well. She had depressions, and I felt like she needed to do something. And then I remembered that people said, Viresh works with everybody, and he always has a great success with people who are difficult. And I thought my mother was really difficult. And I figured out that this is where my mother needs to go. And at the same time, I got like a little flyer with an announcement of an home marathon in Purvodaya. That's about an hour away from Munich in the Bayerisch landscape, an ashram. And that Viresh is doing an home marathon there over Christmas. So I decided that my mother has to go there. And I convinced my father that this is what needs to happen. So we went there, and I just wanted to drop my mother in the group room with Viresh. And I wanted to go and visit friends in Munich. But it was, midnight, it was snowing, it was cold, and the receptionist says to me, did you ever do a group with Viresh? I said, oh, no, 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 no. And then she said, oh,
It's
if
not
you
for
never
me.
did a
Only
group,
for my mother.
only for my mother, exactly. I said, no, 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 I bring my mother. She said, well, if you never did it, you should do it. And I was like, well, I don't know. And well, we want to go to Munich, And then she said, no, 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 it would be good. So I decided to do a group, my first group with Viresh, an home marathon, together with my mother, my boyfriend, and my girlfriend. I
Wow.
was 23. It was amazing experience. It was like everything I experienced in Pune when I was there, like the first time, but then it was like totally super energetic. It was so amazing. When I did a Kundalini, I had the feeling it was like 3 times, 4 times as energetic as when I did it in Pune. And when I did the group, and when I did the talks or looking inside, everything was magnified, and it was magical. It was really magical. And I found myself in such a beautiful space. I mean, a lot of things happened in that group, crazy things. But I learned that my mother is my mother, but she's also just a woman for herself. I don't have to take care of her. It's like she can have another opinion. She can be different. I don't have to protect her. I can let her be who she is, and I can be who I am. And it was like a really, really big, big, big impact for me. I could let her go. And from then on, I really could move on with myself. I was not stuck anymore with trying to fix something with her. I could let her go. I later on also took her with me to Pune, but that was not successful. She was somehow too caught up in a traditional way of living. She got shocked by dating, people being free in their sexuality, because she was married and she wanted to stay together and be in the relationship. And I could respect that. She got scared of Bhagwan. She got scared. Somewhere she felt like as if when she would allow it, that it would open, that she would open up to the whole movement and to the ideas that he has, that she would lose herself. And she made the decision she wanted to stay in the traditional way. But she always loved Osho. And now my father died in December. We had to clean up the house. And what do I find? I find in her little cupboard, in her cupboard, there's Osho books, there's Osho photos. She kept it all and she had it always there with her. It was kind of very nice to see that in her own way she treasured it. What also is nice, that when I came back from Pune the first time, within a year, my brother and my two sisters, they all took sannyas also. Much later, at a time, a girlfriend of mine asked my brother, how come that you all are sannyasins? And my brother said, you know, when Chandrika came back from Pune the first time, it was just, she didn't have to say anything. I was just one look at her and I just knew something really deep happened, and I had to go and do it myself also. And that was really nice for me also to have my brothers and sisters also along with me in this stream of aliveness and celebration and meditation. They joined me also in the commune that we had in Zurich. After a few years, also, they left again and they did their own thing. One sister stayed with me, but it was kind of like it's still a common place that we meet, and which is very beautiful. For my father, it was very terrible because he really thought that I went crazy. He couldn't accept it for, I think, about 2 or 3 years. It was really, I think, a heartbreaking for him. He had like big expectations, that I would be a psychotherapist and take a traditional life, and I didn't. And also, I think I was quite hurting with him. I felt like, okay, he's so traditional, he doesn't understand me. And we found Osho and we found meditation and we have the right way. And I totally cut off to him. And I think it was about two years or even 3 years that I didn't look for any connection anymore. And I know that he loved me very much. Also my mother, they loved me very much. But it was like as if I had to go a different way. And only about 10 years or 15 years later, I could connect up again and I could treasure the bond that we had together. And now, the last 20 years, I think we really made up with each other again. And I was very nice to see. It was very beautiful. He
Oh.
didn't have to go, it was not heavy between us anymore.
Mhm.
So now, when after that group with Viresh in Germany,
Mhm.
on our way home, we stopped in a Autobahn restaurant. And who was there? Viresh and his gang. And so we were sitting together, we were laughing and talking about what all happened in this crazy Om marathon. And at the end, he says to me, I want you to open an institute, a Rajneesh Therapy Institute, so I can come and work. I said, I cannot do that. I don't know what the Rajneesh Therapy Institute is. I'm just a psychologist. And he said, okay, then you can just be my trainee and then you can organize groups for me so I can come and work in Zurich. And that's how we started to work together. He would come like 2 times a year. He would do like a 2 3 day group. I would very easily convince all my friends and everybody I knew that this is what they had to do. They had to come and do this experience and learn about themselves. And it was great. It was fantastic. But the way Viresh was, is he was really pushing the buttons of everybody. So many times it was like, this goes too far for people. And but that's how I connected up with him, and that's how he I got trained by him how to work with emotions, how to work with changing behavior and do the group work. And I always loved his way, the way he loved Osho. I felt like, yeah, it I have the same heart. I loved how heartful he was, how caring he was for little details in a workshop. Because I studied psychology and I was also next to it doing a lot of personal growth trainings and groups. So I experienced many, many different therapists. But when I worked with Viresh, it was this humanness. He didn't pretend to be anybody holy. He was just himself, and he was so honest and so warm and so strong at the same time, and at the same time also so shy. He had like a whole spectrum of being, and I felt really attracted to it. And for me, it was like after the first all marathon group with him, I knew this is my kind of work. This is the way I want to work. And I always was so touched the way Viresh was loving Osho and the way Osho was loving Viresh. It was always special, so quiet, so silent, but at the same time so deep. So that's how I started to work with Viresh. And we were wild. Yes, we were very wild at the time. Many stories, many stories.
Yes, yes. You know, while you talking first, songs come to my mind. The first one was "Walk into the Holy Fire."
Yeah, yeah,
I think it was the song you mentioned.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah,
And the
yeah,
second one is a Human University song that says, "One look into your eyes." Remember that?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, when you talk about your sister, yeah, that looks at your eyes. And then you moved to the Human University to live there. When was it?
Well, that was in 1985. It was before that the center in Zurich got bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, when Osho moved to America, a lot of sannyasins, they left India and they came and they had like an in-between stop. So suddenly our center from 30, 40 people became like 80 people, 100 people. It suddenly became much, much bigger. And we had to find a bigger place. So we found a beautiful big place on 2 floors, like a 200 square meditation room. It was very beautiful, very big. And we also lived together, 100 people, 140 people, many, many people in a beautiful block of houses near the forest in Zurich, just on the edge of Zurich. And we would go to the center in the city and we would run the center and we would live together. It was a beautiful commune and it was called Kota Rajneesh. It's actually Kota stands for a Malaysian city. So it was very interesting. And at that time, Viresh would come always like doing workshops. Other people would come do workshops, like Sudha would come and do workshops, and Rajen would come, and Somendra would come. And we had many, many different uh, group leaders, sannyasin group leaders who would come and they would do groups with us, and we were living together. It was very special special time. And we also had a restaurant, which was actually vegetarian restaurant, very stylish. And at the time, we even got known as the best vegetarian restaurant in Zurich. We were also enthusiastic and so evolved in what we were doing that we just wanted to do the most beautiful thing and the best thing, because that's what Osho told us. A center is that you make it so beautiful that I can come anytime and I'm welcome. So that was always the red thread that went through. So in the July 85, 1985, we were all always going to the summer festival in Oregon. And I also went there, and then they told me that I should stay, that they need somebody who can be there and run the kitchen. I said, oh no, I cannot run the kitchen for 5,000 people. I know how to run a center, but not. And they said, yeah, yeah, you know, and you are making very good food in Zurich and da 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 da, and you can. So anyway, first I was working in the public relations office, but that was like, really the last one, the last help there. And I was just cutting out um, newspaper clips and sticking them in a book. But I saw a lot of the journalists coming in, and I learned how they were talking with them and showing them around. So it was very interesting. And I think about 2 weeks after that, they told me I have to go and run the kitchen. So it was suddenly I was like in this job where I had to be responsible for 5,000 people, to feed them and to make menu plans and everything. And it was quite an experience. I felt like totally thrown in there. And at the same time, I was happy because everybody who was working in the kitchen, they knew their work. They were more efficient and they knew more about it than what I knew. And I was there, and it was a time that was difficult for me. It was like I was very happy that I could see Osho every day, that I could be there in this amazing place what the sannyasins created. I mean, it's like it is like such a special space that they made, with beauty, with fastness, with efficiency, with practicalities. It was, and with so much fun. It was like Rajneeshpuram was really an unbelievable experiment. And it just showed that if people put their love and their heart and their drive into it, many things become possible. It was really it was really unbelievable, amazing. And of course, there was the other side. There was the whole political conflict with Sheila and with the people outside and how it was dealt with. And I felt that conflict very strongly. And at the time, I was given a room in Sheila's house also, and I just didn't felt at ease. I felt very insecure. I felt not really. I didn't felt like I had a space for myself. And once Sheila left and the whole thing started to blow up, I just said I want to go immediately. So I left. I left as fast as possible, and I went back to Zurich. And somewhere I expected in Zurich it will be still my center, my friends, my people. But in this, whatever it was, about 2 months or 1.5 months, everything changed. Different people were working there, differently organized, and I didn't felt at home at all anymore. It was as if my heart was in the center. It wasn't there anymore. And so I said I wanted to leave the commune. And then I was told, no, you're just very shocked and disturbed about everything that happened with Sheila and collapsing. And they told me, it's better you go to Berlin. Go to Berlin. I said, okay. One of my girlfriends is in Berlin. Why not? I go to Berlin. So I went to Berlin and I was in a commune in Berlin and I just felt totally lost. I felt like it didn't make any sense that I was there. I didn't felt like I could engage. It was like, okay, I get a job and I have to do something and it has to be according to the rules. You have to do like this and you have to do like that. And it didn't felt like it was speaking to me anymore. So it was one night there, one day there. And in the evening, I get a phone call and it's Viresh on the phone. And he says, I am here in Berlin. And tonight I am going to do an event and I want you to come. We come and pick you up. I was like, oh, great. Yeah. But I'm really in a shock. I'm very depressed and stressed with this whole situation. I left Zurich. I don't want to do the center anymore. And I'm upside down. I said, that's okay. I come pick you up. So they came pick me up with the car and I went to this event. And as soon as I saw Viresh, he took me in his arms and I just started to cry and cry and cry. And I think I cried for hours. And I was just sharing and talking and unburdening my heart. And I felt understood. I felt seen. I felt whole held. And at the end of the next morning, he said, come with me. You need to relax. Come for 2 weeks to my place, the Human University. And so I went back to the center and I said, I'm leaving. And they were all like, oh, how can you? And you have to give your mala back. And so I had to give my mala bead, the commune bead, I had to give back. And it was kind of strange because actually I designed that specific one for the European ones. And I had to give it back. And then I left with Viresh. And he was always joking. He always said, I kidnapped you from Berlin and I took you back here. And so I came to Holland and I thought 2 weeks to relax. It's on the beach. It's nice. But I was so burned out because also the 7 years that I was working in Zurich, we didn't had any holidays. We didn't had any days off. We were nonstop working. So it was ongoing, ongoing, ongoing. And then with the emotional stress together, I was just burned out. I was not really able to walk anymore. I was just tired all the time. I remember that in that time, a friend of mine, he brought me to the beach and it was just walking to the beach. Oh man, I felt like this is too much for me, but it's ridiculous. It was just 5 minutes. But for me at the time, it felt all not possible anymore. And then after 2 weeks, I had a talk, and then I thought, well, I need to do some therapy. I need to do some work. And so I did a tourist program. And I didn't really know what I stepped into, except for that they told me, drop everything. Whatever you were before, whatever is in the past, just let it go. Start fresh. You are Chandrika, you start now. And I did that. And it was as if suddenly a new life force came into me. And it was like, okay, this is like when I was in Pune. This is like when I was with Osho. This is like suddenly I could be myself again. And I didn't have to consider rules or what you should do or what you should not do. And if you are this and this, you can do that. And da, da, da. It was like suddenly I could live out of my own understanding, out of my own heart, out of my own wisdom. It was like as if I got life again. And I did it for 2 weeks. I was like, wow, this is it. I got my life back again. And after 2 weeks, Viresh said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to stay. And he said, I'm so happy that you want to stay. And so I started to work. And first it was, I didn't want to work with people anymore because I didn't trust it myself anymore. I thought like, oh, if all this could happen like the ranch, and I didn't realize what was happening. I don't think I can, I should not work with people. I cannot trust myself. So Viresh said, well, okay, so you can work in the public relations. So it was good. Yeah, that's good for me. And then after a month of public relations, he came and he called me and he said, uh, the community director, she's leaving and I need somebody new and I want you to do that job. And I was like, oh no, I cannot do it. You can. He said, yeah, you're the perfect person to do it because you know what mistakes can happen and you know what should not happen and you know what you want to happen. So you're the right person to do it. And I was like, okay, all right. If you think so and you help me, then I will go into it again. And that's how I was a community director for, I think, about 5 years. And for me, it was in all this time, it was the time then when uh, Osho also went on to the world tour and he was not allowed to go into any country. It was kind of a very sad side of the whole sannyas movement when all the doors were closed. But at the same time, for me, it was like listening to the lectures and just being in connection with him. I felt him as close as when I was there with him. And it was it was just very beautiful to be in the human university and to do the work we do here, and at the same time have this depth and this wisdom of Osho always guiding us. It was always with me, always. It was never that Osho went away. It was always in my heart. And I always felt like that because also when we had the center in Zurich, we could not just stay in Pune, which we actually wanted to do. We would always get sent back again. It was always like, no, your work is in Zurich. You have to go back to Zurich again. So I kind of learned to be with Osho and be in the ashram, and then to take whatever is there in my heart and bring it back into Europe, and to see actually that what is in my heart, this doesn't need the closeness. It's there. It's just there. And I found that also in Viresh. He also had this quality. I always felt him so close to Osho, so
Yes.
caring. It was so beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I worked here for many years. It's now 36 years this year that I am here in the Human University working with people. And I think one of the beautiful things that also happened here is that at some point Viresh went to Pune. And when he was there, the teenagers came to him and they said, oh, Viresh, we're not doing so good. And Viresh was saying, what's happening? Yeah, we are not allowed to go in the ashram because we are teenagers and only people over can go there and they have to work and we cannot do groups and da 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 da. And then first Viresh thought like, oh, they have to take the teenagers, they have to take care of them, they're our kids. And then he said, no, he realized that they cannot, it's not the place. So he came back and then he called me in and he said, Chandrika, I want you to take care of the teenagers. And I looked at him and I said, teenagers? I mean, no, I want to work with adult people. And then he said, no, 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 I need you to take care of the teenagers. We have to take that on. And then we developed a program like months long in summer and 10 days in winter over Christmas time, where we said we open up to the teenagers and we take teenagers. In the beginning, we took them from 10 till 20. Later on, now we take them from 14 till 20. And we started our first workshop with the teenagers. We had always in the summer, we had like we call it a super group. Now it's called the Wow, but it
Yeah.
had many, many different names over the years. It was Giggle Shock, it was Goo Plex, it was Osho's Delight, but now it is called Wow. And he was running with a group staff of about maybe 10 people or 6 people. He was running the big group, which is like, was like sometimes he was 100 people, sometimes he was even more than 100 people. And I was running the teenagers, and we gave that a name. It's called the Tanju program. And we made the name up from tangerine juice because we said the big people are the oranges, the sannyasins who are dressed in orange. The small people, they are the tangerines, and
Mm.
they are the spirit of it. And so we called it Tanju. We had to learn to work with the teenagers. And over the years, we found a formula on how to work with them, how to hang out, how to have entertainments, how to go into deep emotions, how to bring arts and creativity into it. And it became like an amazing program. And now, last year and this year, the first time we couldn't run Tanju anymore because we have the whole COVID situation. So we couldn't invite them, and I miss them terribly. They became like my kid family, you know. It's like many of them. I love them so much. They're so special, especially in this period of 14 to 20, where they're finding out about who they want to become, what is all happening, what is life, you know, who are they, what to do with conflicts, and to create these very, very deep lasting friendships. It was just so heartwarming. And I never thought when Viresh asked me that it would be like the juice of my life. It's really like many people say, Chandrika, the Tanjus are gonna come again. You become younger and younger because it just has this effect, you know, where it's like you hang out with them and everything has to be faster as with adult people. They understand quicker,
Mhm.
but they also get faster bored. And if they don't like something, they just say like, no, I don't know why I should do that. So you have to really work and, you know, work it out together. And it's like it's so special to be able to offer a program for teenagers where they can learn about what they feel, where they can learn about how they can make solutions in conflict, how they can hang out, how they can become stars. You know, everybody, we do always a show, and a big show for an hour, and everybody shines, you know, and everybody helps each other. They learn how to support each other and how to cry with each other, how to show like the soft sides and also the strong sides, the crazy sides, all of it. And to have that opportunity for a whole month to hang out together, to live together, and it's very beautiful, very, very beautiful. And I always feel like, yes, Viresh initiated it, but it's like it's Osho behind it, you know. It's like the love of Osho is is the force that moves it. For me, for Viresh, for all the people that helped me over the years. It's very special. So I hope next year we can do it again. I really, really, really want it. Really want it. And I know yesterday I had my friend. She's administrating the Facebook for the Tanjus, and she said, "You won't believe it. Just yesterday, suddenly 10 of them were all talking with each other. It's just like friendships that last and that go so deep." Yeah. So my life with Osho and Viresh and the Human University is just very, very rich. When I was in this first moment of saying to this friend, yes, I want to come to India and I want to look what it's all about. I don't want to miss out. I'm so happy that I took that decision. And I never repented it. Even sometimes, it was hard times, but it was always so exciting to find out, who am I? Who am I inside? And it became more and more that I just started to appreciate that I'm alive and that I was able to be in this life now and meet all so many beautiful people. Yeah,
Wow.
I have no idea about time. More than an hour, huh?
Yeah, 1 hour and 10 minutes about it. You,
Yeah.
you made it so easy for us. We didn't have to ask any question. It just went on, and you told us so many. I think we could stay for hours here. But
Yes,
I think so
anyway,
too.
bring your story.
anyway, Chandrika, I just want to say thank you to you to be so open and sharing with us your beautiful story.
Beautiful story.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
for inviting me.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you.
We
But
love.
your love and your openness is also shining through Zoom. I feel that, so that also makes me easy to talk.
Mm.
Yes, I want to tell you something. Just maybe 2 or 3 months after Osho left his body, went to Japan, invited by a friend, and I was kind of lost. Where is Osho? What I'm gonna do with my life? And then a friend of mine, Abhivandam, put Viresh songs, and one especially, it's called Osho's Delight. Viresh talks about Osho, and
Yeah,
I started to cry
yeah,
a lot. And then I was so, wow, Osho is alive. Osho is alive.
yes,
Viresh
yes,
is there. And
yes.
that's
We're
it.
living his dream. That was the
Yes,
message.
yes,
We're living his
yes,
dream.
yes,
Now
yes,
it's up to us.
yes,
Exactly.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Chandrika.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
too. Mm, bye bye.
Bye
Lots
bye.
of love. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, Chandrika.
Ciao,
Danke
Divya.
dir. Vielen Dank.
Obrigado.
Obrigado.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye. Thank you.
Ciao. See you again.
Yeah, sure.